this on or off? Is this on? Hello? I'm sorry. If we can get started again the next couple of minutes. Joe Brady, please come forward.
Where's my list? Wow, there's like dead silence, Bob. People really thought. That's what they told me.
Sorry.
That's all right. But we get the ours anyway, right?
Exactly.
Cool.
Never,
Cool.
you know?
Cool.
Sorry, I won't do a drawing. I'll send it.
Good. Well, welcome back. We're going to have the balance of our speakers, and at the end, for probably 10 or 15 minutes, we're going to have some Q&A. So hopefully you'll stay and participate in the Q&A. Also, the webinar is going to be on the Business Press by tomorrow morning, so you'll be able to look it on up. And again, thanks to the Business Press for helping out and participating in this. The next individual is somebody that I know well and I work very well with, Ken Henderson. He's the Assistant Town Manager for Economic Development. In our industry, he's
up front, no disrespect to you or my colleagues up here, but I'm the only guy you really need to know. And Apple Valley is the only place that you really need to focus on with respect to new development and rehabilitation projects.
You are consistent.
wow.
So you all listen to folks like us, and sometimes it gets, a little difficult to pay attention. So I thought that we would, your search for new sites and for new communities for your clients should begin and end with Apple Valley, is because that those localities who are having difficulty funding the animal services or sheltering their animals will contract with the town of Apple Valley Animal Services Department to provide such services. Next slide, please. If you're ever going to build public facilities, in the Inland Empire, the last 2 or 3 years has been the best it will probably ever be. This is the third phase of our public facilities program. The first 2 have been completed, as I noted. This has a opening date of, I think, third quarter of this year. On average, the difference between the lowest responsible bid and the engineer's or architect's estimate is about 35%. So we've been able to, in some cases, overbuild. We added a community room to the Development Services building because in Apple Valley, there was no place for 300 people to have a sit-down dinner, be entertained, and so on and so forth. We solved that problem by adding another 6,200 square feet to the Development Services building. Next slide, please. These are some of the other investments we're making in infrastructure. The Village Median Landscape Program, which is a Vision 2020 project of the town council. Our Yucca-Loma Bridge Corridor project, I must say that this is our #1 transportation priority. in the town of Apple Valley. The Yucca-Loma Bridge project, which will eventually connect to two different segments in the city of Victorville and connect Apple Valley directly to the freeway at the proposed Nisqually-La Mesa interchange that the city of Victorville is handling. I must tell you that we've received our CEQA approvals, and just last week, we finally received our NEPA, North Apple Valley Industrial Specific Plan. All you really need to know about that is the program EIR is done. Your client only has to mitigate, and the building official reports to me. So you're going to get the kind of satisfaction and service that is somewhat foreign to most of you when dealing with communities in the greater Southern California area. Next slide, please. One last point about the prior slide. We had the only site in the state as a certified site by the state Economic Development Department. There are now 5 certified sites in the state of California, 3.5 million square feet of state-of-the-art retail. That's because folks like yourselves took advantage of our expedited entitlement process, among other things, and the services that we provide. Next slide, please. Medical professional, medical office building is a focus of our activities. Medical device manufacturing is a focus of our business attraction activities for the North Apple Valley Industrial Specific Plan. We have the most significant medical office building presence in the Victor Valley. We hope to continue our edge in that regard. Next slide, please. Residential, 75,000 residents. We issued, for 7 years. We're talking about a one-stop shop. Any take permits that will be required in the town of Apple Valley in our sphere of influence, that's 200 square miles, will be issued by my department once that multi-species habitat conservation plan is complete. Can you go to the last slide, please? One more, I think. One more. GetASlice.org. It's our website for the town of Apple Valley. It's a website within a website. I've got 3 people in the back. I'm going to ask them to stand. Emily Wong, Orlando Acevedo, and Joseph Moon. They do the heavy lifting for me. So if you've listened for this far, thank you for your time and attention.
Some of the folks that we work with day in and day out, they're not our development partners. I was talking to John earlier with Holland Foreman on the development side, engineering side, but these are some of the folks we work with day in and day out on the marketing side. And I thought I'd focus today's conversation mainly on the projects. Some of them are public-private partnerships, some of them are just private shopping centers, that kind of thing. But I wanted to kind of guide the discussion down the path that's going to help you folks and our marketing partners make some money, whether it be a commission on a sale or interest on a loan or development fees or what have you. So I thought I'd touch on the public-private, some of the things that way out in the middle of nowhere, we can't even get one downtown. So when Dave finally showed up on our doorstep, believe me, he was welcome with open arms. And like I said, John, I was talking with him earlier. He's you'll see a little green area. That's actually about a 4-acre park. The only thing that we being the city, had not finished on that project was the parking lot. Well, when Dave came to us and we got looked, and then we've also looked in the past to get an office supply place right in the downtown. I know Office Depot and some of them are downsizing their prototypes, and they're trying to stick, instead of one big store, they're trying to put 2 or 3 stores in a market and making them a little smaller. I think something like that. That's south of Nisqually, south of Bear Valley, south of Main Street a little bit. It'll actually generate another east-west corridor in the high desert and will open up all sorts of retail opportunities. Next slide. And this is just a quick sporting goods stores. We've got 2 Big Fives and Apple Valley Sporting Goods, which is a smaller prototype, but we're really looking for things like Dick's, Sports Authority, that kind of stuff. So if any of you folks have got connections with those folks, you really ought to be looking at the high desert. Go ahead. And I'll just flip through. The city does have a lot of incentives. I won't go through those in detail. Let's talk about them after the presentation. A couple of the private.
Thank you, Rob. Our next presenter is Barry Foster with the City of Moreno Valley. And he's going to talk. How many people have been down the 60 freeway in the last 4 months and seen that monster 1.8 million square foot Skechers? Huh? I had to drive out of my way while I was on vacation to show my wife that recently, and she became mesmerized. Maybe you could discuss the odd design. What, if 45 football fields will fit in there? It's massive. This thing is just a massive building. Nice building.
Thanks. You know, last year I was so intrigued when I listened to Ken from Apple Valley talk about how he had consolidated and had really all the development services. So I went back and I talked to my city manager, and I said, you know what? You know, we really need to do this. You know, Moreno Valley needs to be able to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. And so, you know, Steve Hopkins talked about it. But Moreno Valley, you know, we've been able to accomplish a lot. It takes a lot longer to get a deal done. It sometimes takes years to get something done and to get it all the way through, get the approvals from retailers and everything else. And then once we get it going, we want to make sure that we fast track the project and get it under construction as quickly as possible. And we've been able to create 3,600 new jobs in the last 2 years. And if you look at that, considering the economic times of the Great Recession, during that same period, for a 3-year period from 2006, 7, and 8, the Inland Empire lost nearly 200,000 jobs. So to be able to create 3,600 jobs in one city, that's truly remarkable. And we have another 2,000 jobs coming next year with Skechers and Highland Fairview, Harbor Freight Tools is moving all their facility from Camarillo and Oxnard to Moreno Valley. On the housing side, you know, we've seen the market really improve a lot. The average home price is now up to $161,000. That's a 16% increase in the last year. We've sold, and the resale market has really stabilized a lot. We've sold nearly 8,000 homes. We've averaged 333 resales a month. And you know, everybody talks about foreclosures. We have less than 500 bank-owned homes in Moreno Valley. That's less than 1% of all the single-family homes that we have. So that market really has stabilized. You know, we've had just a ton of new businesses come in. Ayers Hotel, Burlington Coat Factory, Bob's Big Boy, Hampton Inn, La Quinta Inn. We got a sports authority. And then next year, we're actually under construction now with the new Buffalo Wild Wings and Panera Bread. You know, a lot of what we do is produce jobs. It's, you know, that's the way we're going to recover from this economy, is jobs, jobs, jobs. You know, we've had Bass Recycling come in, Frazee Paint, Harman Kardon, iHerb, National Tube Supply, O'Reilly Automotive, Phillips Electronics, ResMed, Unify. Once it happens, once it comes there, Skechers will have over 1,100 permanent jobs. Next. Here's what the building will look like. You know, Joe talked about it. It's 1.8 million square feet. It's 45. You can put 45 football fields inside of that facility. It's a $250 million project. It's a huge incentive open for business. Next. The other big project I want to talk about is the March Life Care. It's on the old March Air Force property. It's actually on the JPA property. It's a $3.3 billion project, a 236-acre master planned medical and health facility. It'll really be almost a small city. And they've got commitments from just a number of different players. The first phase and a half is committed. They're knocking down the buildings now. They'll have a 150-bed hospital. They'll have medical office buildings, skilled nursing, continuing care. They'll have a hotel there. It will be just a multifaceted project. Next. Governor Schwarzenegger came out there and watched when the first building was being knocked down. They have to knock down 27 buildings to make way for the project. And it was designated for the governor's GO-ED team as a priority project. along with Skechers. We have 2 projects that the former governor picked to push along, and that's one of them. Next. You know, we have a lot of things that we're looking forward to do. The economy's starting to improve, and we hope it will get a lot better. We've got some office projects. We have one, Kaiser Permanente is looking to build an office facility next to the community hospital that they acquired about 1.5 years ago. And they've actually expanded the employees at Kaiser, so we want to work with them on that. And they're getting ready to start that this summer. And I said we didn't have any buildings, any large buildings. We've been able to convince 2 developers who have actually renewed their building permits for construction drawings for 4 buildings.
Good afternoon. I'm Kimberly Davidson with the City of Marietta. Next slide. Just a really quick snapshot. I think most of you know where Marietta is, right next to our sister city of Temecula. But just a quick description of the city. We are currently in the process of funding EIRs for 3 of our major business corridors. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for developers to come in, have shovel-ready sites ready to go. We just are completing a general plan update that will be complete in April that will designate those corridors as the new business corridors. And we're rezoning part of the Antelope Corridor as an office and research park, I believe. It's kind of a new designation that we've invented for that. We have some infrastructure improvements that are currently underway. Right now, Clinton Keith on the 215 is being widened, the Clinton Keith Bridge. The next one will be the Calmia and Cal Oaks interchange, and we're currently investigating proposals and funding for what will be the Keller Road interchange for the hospital. We have right now what's called Antelope. It turns into Meadowlark and it goes kind of to the hospital in a sense. Will be realigned. It will be Whitewood all the way through, and they're really putting a focus on arterial roads to get to the hospital. We really want to make sure that the ambulances and whatnot can get there very easily. Our sales tax is up for the 4th consecutive quarter, which is a really good sign, and we've seen a lot of what I call movement in the economy. I have been at the city for 2 years now, so really all I know is recession as far as economic development. But for they are currently in the process of building a 50-acre campus. Right now, this will be the first phase of 3. This one will have 106 beds and has a 5-story medical office building. At final build out that they've proposed so far, there are 3 phases. It has to offer, what the project has to offer. The Oak Grove Equities takes them to lunch, and so far they've been able, through the EB5 process, to raise $5 million of the 12 that they need so that they can get started. BMW of Marietta will be here shortly. They were originally going to do a ground-up dealership. That may not happen at this point. They may take something over that's currently there.
2x3 at the bottom it says the attitudes will determine your attitude.
It's all in. Did you put your card in?
For the
Okay, 2 minutes are up. What's up, Doc? Yep. If I could get everybody to sit down. Thank you, Nick.
Good idea, Joe.
So, Nick, now you know Sports Authority. You can probably get on the phone. You'll be calling them on the way out of here tonight, I can tell you that. Huh? Trying to kiss up to Mr. Yonke. Praying probably somebody. I know my competitors well. If Nick had called him at 10 o'clock at night, he would do it. Okay.
Sports Authority, Rod.
Well, John, it's nice to know, John Anderson, it's nice to know that you got acknowledged by the Coachella Valley Partnership as having the highest per capita sales tax. Was that what the deal was? Huh? Why don't you come on up and tell us about it?
Like everybody here. We try to talk about our locational advantages for businesses, access to the airport, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a minute, freeways, rail, all being accessible and making business succeed in the city. Next slide. I'm going to talk about just some snapshots and some trends, some things we're seeing. In the industrial, we've got about 98 million square feet total of industrial space in the city. We're running about 8.5% vacancy rate at this point. We've had some positive net absorption now for the last 3 quarters, actually, which is obviously good news. And like everybody, we've seen some recent build-to-suit activity, which has been very good for us. Most notably and recently, the Home Depot, the Rapid Deployment Distribution Center over on Etiwanda, about 300 jobs that just opened late last year. Class A office space, that's another matter. It's the good news with this project that was developed by PGP at Archibald is that the building on a standalone basis is right about 90% occupied right now. The challenging news is that there are other buildings planned as part of the project. We're extremely happy with the look of this building, the response to it from the market, but we also understand in working with the PGP folks is that there's going to be challenges to move the next phase forward. So we're working with them to extend their agreements and be as patient as possible in working with them. The success of that district is going to be over the long term and not making some short-term decisions that would run counter to the goals for the area. Our other retail owners, they get it in terms of reinvesting back in the property. There's not a whole lot of new construction to go around right now, so they're reinvesting and trying to position these properties for the long term. If I leave you with one thing today about Ontario, it's that A1 job for us is the airport. Our city council, city manager, and hopefully the region see the value of local management and control of the airport. It is a long, difficult, challenging process, but our goal at the end is to have local control over the management operations of the airport. I won't go through all the details with you. We have a city website devoted to the effort. I would urge you to go to that and get more information if you're interested. The one thing that I would ask you to do is anytime you're flying, shrink wrap some of the smaller structures really to protect them from the weather, because the wind and rain and everything wasn't very friendly to them. And then we're doing some seismic improvements on the mansion itself, which will be completed later in January. Next slide. I talked about the PGP project and the extensions and the agreement there. Lastly, I'd like to extend you an invitation to our State of the City event coming up on March 6th.
Our next speaker gets a second shot at it. Greg, you get 2 shots. So I don't know if you paid Bob off big time, but somehow you get up here twice today. Represent
during the boom in our city, and so it was time for us to upgrade our own infrastructure. We're talking as the oldest city that we had some utility lines, sewer lines over 100 years old, and so they was decided in a 5-year period that they would do the job of 30 years. So 5 were taken up. Gottschalk's, which was a big concern for us, was taken up by Forever 21. If you're familiar with Gottschalk's, it's still kind of odd to see Forever 21 taking up a 200,000 square foot building. I grew up, Forever 21 was in the little mall area over there. So what is it we do? Business attraction. Up there is a map, and all this is available online, www.riversideca.gov. This is actually an award-winning map that you see here. It has 2 layers on it, and it looks at average household income and average population by city. So when we're talking to retailers at ICS and other shows, and they say, well, we're not quite sure about your income, startups need, and we have a great group here. It's called the CEO Forum, and they've really guided what we want to do in terms of technology within the city of Riverside. And so that group gives us the knowledge base to understand what a tech company needs. A lot of times in government we think we know what companies need. That's not the case.